Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you back to our ongoing webinar series, Integrating IoT for Enhanced ESG Practices. Today's part 2. Today we focus on two components of ESG practices. And I'm Julia Molnar, your host for today. We'll be guiding you through the webinar. This series is powered by the team at Octopus IoT platform, aiming to redefine how businesses commit to sustainability and responsibilities through smart IoT solutions. Let me introduce you to today's speaker. Please join me in welcoming Egils Rubenis, CEO of Integration Works Asia and the founder of the Octopus IoT platform. With a dynamic entrepreneurial spirit, Egils leads innovative IT ventures across Bangkok and Berlin. His expertise in enterprise solution architect is marked by impactful implementations within diverse sectors, be it market investment banking, commercial banking, automotive industry. Egils led the project for prestigious organizations such as IBM, Deutsche Bank, UniCredit, and BMW, to name the few. Today, he will show us the environmental potential of IoT technologies. But before we go into the details, let's take a moment to revisit the ESG acronym and its increasing importance in global business strategy. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. These are three pillars that form a framework for evaluating companies' impact and ethical conduct. The environmental pillar evaluates how a company manages its ecological duties, including carbon footprint reduction, waste management, and conserving resources. These are key actions for mitigating climate change and safeguarding our environment for future. The social pillar examines how company treats its individuals, encompassing employee rights, diversity, and the effects on local communities. It also emphasizes creating safe and healthy environments within and outside the company. And the final is governance, which refers to a company's leadership practices, ethical standards, audits, and shareholder relations. It's about fostering a culture of transparency, integrity, and accountability. Today, we will investigate how IoT can assist companies in achieving their ESG goals. IoT's potential can significantly improve individuals' well-being, safety, and health worldwide. We'll look at one real example where IoT, particularly through Octopus platform, has made a substantial impact. Today's webinar is organized as follows. First, we will present an actual use case from the Octopus IoT platform. Then it will be followed by a live demonstration of the platform's data management capabilities. And 3, we will conclude with question and answer session. With everything in place, let's get started. Over to you, Egils.
Okay, thank you. My name is Egils, as already introduced. I will talk about the energy saving solutions with our IoT platform, Octopus, which is established in Southeast Asia, in APAC, with customers in Thailand, Malaysia, and in Hong Kong. The core is capitalizing on data. So everybody in the age of IoT, we are talking about ML, IoT, blockchain, smart things, IIoT, and AI. To shed a little bit light on IoT, IIoT, how we see it. So if we talk about IoT, Internet of Things, it covers the commercial side and involves basically battery-driven wireless sensors with low message frequencies, transmitting brief data samples like temperature, air quality, water leaks, and more. It is widely used in smart environments like smart cities, smart buildings, and smart offices. When we talk about IIoT, the industrial Internet of Things, we are talking about measurements which are transmitted in a high frequency from PLCs, programmable logic controllers, through edge devices into the cloud, which basically allow us to monitor machine operations health, give information about specific KPIs and OEE. If you look at the platform Octopus or an IoT platform in general, there are 5 core parts which an IoT platform should cover. It's on the one side, it's the connectivity and device management. It's the data acquisition and processing, visualization and analytics, monitoring, alerting, and reporting, and third-party integration. So with Octopus, what we did, as it's difficult to find on the market, we tried to develop a platform which connects IoT and IIoT so that you can run your commercial sensors operated on Sigfox LoRaWAN, LTE-M, NB IoT, for example, and as well from the industrial side, from the PLCs, that you can push the data into the same data hub, and then on the Octopus side, the user can set up his own visualizations for monitoring, analytics, alerting, and notifications. For this example and the energy savings solution, which touched the ESG part, we will show you how we set up the electricity or energy consumption monitoring and how it's changing when you install these aircon nets provided by a company called Contine VM in Asia. It is a product developed in Japan and widely used in Japan, but also throughout APEC here, especially because we have very, very high temperatures here compared to Europe or the United States. And I will walk you through an example how this whole monitoring process is established and how the data is consumed in Octopus. So for the first part, what we do in order to get the data, you need to measure the energy consumption on aircons. So what we are looking for proof of concepts is basically that we are looking for aircons in rooms which have a certain stability or frequency, like in an office where you know that the people are working from 8 to 6, probably Saturdays, Sundays are off days. So what we do in the first, we identify these aircons, and then we install Schneider PowerTechs, for example, in this case, on the circuit breakers, and then we basically stop doing anything. It's just the sensors are sending the data into the cloud, and they are collected there. There's nothing much happening then at that moment. We are still only collecting the data for the first 3 weeks. And after that, the aircon nets are installed. It is a product which can be installed by the end user itself. It is aircon nets by size by 50 by 50. You can cut them with regular scissors together, and you just have to place them in front of the aircon airflow output. It promises energy savings between 15 and 35%. It's depending a little bit on the type of aircons. If it's a wall mounted, it looks a little bit different if it's in a company like a chiller system, for example. And then again, we monitor energy consumption for the next 3 weeks. After the 6-week period, within Octopus, we basically create the dashboards to compare the energy consumption without the aircon nets and with the aircon nets. These dashboard setups take around about 2 to 4 hours to show the differences basically, or show you exactly how much electricity you saved. One of the examples is here a hotel in Bangkok, a brand name hotel, which implemented these aircon nets. We also did there a pilot initially, and it comes out they have 345 rooms with a monthly electricity bill of over $70,000 per month, and 65% of that electricity bill is consumed by aircons. And the proof of concept showed that there is a saving of around 25% when installing the aircon nets. And today the numbers show that the hotel saves around about $12,000 per month, which comes up cumulated per year to $144,000 per year. The return on investment in regards of the aircon nets which have to be installed and the sensors for the electricity monitoring is somewhere around 2 years. Of course, it also has an impact on the carbon footprint reduction. If you use less energy or consume less energy, you're also saving a lot of CO2. And for this project here in the hotel, it comes around to 36 tons per month saving CO2 emissions, which is around about 90 cars driving 1,500 kilometers per month. And these energy saving solution in terms of setup, it can basically be set up everywhere. We have it running here in Thailand, in Bangkok, close to Bangkok, in a factory, for example, in office and residential buildings, hospitals, hotels. So everywhere where you use aircons, it can be set up. I think that was from the PowerPoint presentation. Then let me quickly share my screen. I can show you how it looks in real life. So this is the usage of the Octopus platform for the company Contine M. This is an example, a proof of concept which we run at another hotel here in Thailand on Phuket, Centara Villa Phuket. And this is what basically the measurements look like for the first 3 weeks when we measure the energy consumption with the Schneider PowerTechs, for example, and on the circuit breakers, measuring power consumption and then showing it in a linear regression example to see how much energy do I consume on a specific temperature difference between outdoor temperature and indoor temperature. So if we look at this dot at this point here, for example, you can see that it's roundabout at a 6-degree difference temperature, which means outside, for example, 30 degrees and inside the room is cooled to 24 degrees. At that measure point, it means that you use around about 1,442 kilowatt hours. And this we are basically computing through the whole 3-week period where we measure the electricity consumption without the nets. And then if we hold against it the electricity consumption for the 3 weeks after installation of the nets, you can already see that the point distribution is much smoother around the lines here. And that here, for example, if you look at the 6-degree difference, that you come to 1,241 watt hours in consumption of electricity. And if we then hold the difference line against it, we can see that on a 6-degree window difference, we have around about 35% electricity consumption savings. So this is an average then, of course, and then it's calculated throughout the 3 weeks and held together or against each other. And then for this hotel here in Bangkok, for example, in the inner city, we came somewhere around 25.2%. So this is how it's set up. These kind of dashboards are used by the company Continuum then within Octopus. The whole setup here for the customer, for the proof of concept, it's basically showing how the electricity consumption and the distribution is working. So here, for example, you can see how the distribution and the temperature differences were during the measurements without the aircon nets. And compared to the right side, you can see that all the lines are much smoother. And also here for the light blue line, the electricity distribution is much smoother on the same level, whereas on the left side, you can see that it's a little bit more bumpy. Yeah, and so the whole setup for the proof of concept, like installing the Schneider PowerTech is roundabout, if you do it for 2 or 3 aircons, it takes probably 1 or 2 hours. Installing the aircon nets afterwards is also a job for 2 or 3 hours. And then setting up here the dashboards for the proof of concept for the customer is also done within 2 to 4 hours, basically. So the whole setup is done within a day, more or less. And the output, of course, you need some weeks because you need to collect the data and then let the system work out the data for you.
If you have questions, please raise the hand button and we will hear you. Having seen that Octopus IoT platform's role in improving ESG practices, we invite you to share your thoughts or questions. How do you see IoT technology further contributing to our good? Let's discuss the potential impacts and explore new ideas together. If somebody has a question, please raise a hand. Okay, Benjamin, yes, we hear you.
In the context of the manufacturing industry, how can IoT-based energy-saving solutions be integrated with the essential industry systems to not only reduce energy consumption, but also to improve production efficiency?
Yeah, I think if you look at the industrial sectors, there are a lot of different vertical sectors. I can tell you about one company here where we have installed the system where it's operational. It is a company which is assembling engines for international machine manufacturers, and they have specific guidelines that they have, for example, to keep their factory 24/7, 365 days a year on exactly the same temperature level, somewhere at around 23.2 to 23.2, depending, because there is specific machinery or specific liquids which just need to be on that level. And for this kind of company, of course, you can imagine that the aircon is running 24/7, and the outdoor temperatures are quite changing here a bit. So if you look at Thailand, we have times where we have a regular temperature of 30 degrees, but we had in February, March, we also had outdoor temperatures rising up to 45 degrees. So you can imagine, to keep then the rooms on the same temperature, the aircons have to work much harder. And every percent what you can save there on the electricity consumption is, of course, making a difference. Another point where temperature and a better cooling distribution through these kind of aircon nets, for example, also is very important, is in the food production industry. If you work with materials which are not solid, but which is like a little bit like dusty, if you have a too high humidity, for example, then the material, the resources start clotting. So I think the energy consumption part here, specifically on the aircons, is a measurable part. In general, of course, also making measurements in specific industrial sectors where you need to know how much energy is consumed on specific machinery. A lot of companies are not using that yet. In Europe, it might be a little bit different, but here in APEC, I think it just starts rolling out that you get simply a better overview, because also through these kind of dashboards and widgets, what we provide with heat maps and linear regressions and other dashboard types, widget types, you simply can see what you didn't see before. You can see that you have a spike somewhere at specific times or specific days where it probably shouldn't happen, and then you can start investigating and going deeper into these parts to get more to the part of data-driven decision making.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I see another hand. Heiko, please ask a question.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for your presentation. I have one question concerning the utility sector. With the adaptation of more and more renewable energy production, the energy management gets a lot more complicating, managing the whole grid with these fluctuating energy production. How can your solution help there with the grid management?
Speaking of a governmental side or grid providers or companies using the electricity?
And the grid providers.
The energy providers.
I know that in Germany, the two parts are separate. By law, we have grid, the companies who manage the grid, and we have companies who produce the energy, but they're separate ones, do not have a monopoly. So I would more go to managing the grid, and how does your solution can help there?
Yeah, well, it's a very the electricity grid is like oil and gas or water. It is a very how do we say that, a very sensitive sector. But of course, within Octopus, if you can supply the data, you don't even have to insert sensors or implement sensors there, because these companies have all their data on specific server systems, but probably don't have like a centralized data silo where you can push everything together and then basically manage and see how the electricity was produced. From the user side, if we look at ESG, we are currently in a pilot project in the Philippines, for example. There's a company, it's a fast food chain, the biggest fast food chain in the Philippines. And they, from the government side, as they are a public listed company, they need to provide every 2 years a specific reporting, how much electricity they used on specific parts like light, aircon, machinery, outside electricity. And this kind of information, then it basically is pushed into the ESG reporting as well. And they know how much electricity they get from the common, from water, or from solar or wind energy. And that is then basically pushed into the Octopus platform as well. And then the reporting is generated from there.
Okay. I see one more question. Benjamin, please.
How can IoT solutions be utilized in the commercial real estate sector to monitor and manage energy consumption in real time, and what impact does this have on meeting ESG criteria for building management?
Yeah. So we just started doing a pilot in Hong Kong for a skyscraper. I haven't seen that before as well. It's a warehouse in a skyscraper, in a 30-story high skyscraper. That's really interesting. And they start not with the energy monitoring, but more with the water leak guard installations. But there in the second phase is exactly the same plan. It's a company which is operating 11 of those warehouses in Hong Kong, like in skyscrapers, like around 30 stories high. They do the energy consumption then in the phase 2 also for looking at what is it in terms of cooling, in terms of lift, and all kinds of other sensors which are available. So it's basically going a little bit more into the facility management. From the Octopus side of view, it doesn't really matter what you want to do with it. So we are operating smart farms with it, smart facility management with it, this analytics for the energy consumption, for example, also in the factories. So as soon as you have sensors connecting to Octopus, you can basically set up all your monitoring also as facility management, where we then have the water consumption, for example, monitored, the electricity consumption monitored. So it's basically more a question of what kind of sensors do you want to install and what do you want to monitor. But the possibilities are basically open with the platform Octopus.
Thank you.
I see another question in our Q&A box. I think it comes from Nadine, and Nadine is asking, how do the notification work? How often do I get them?
That is also up to the user. So first of all, we have 5 notification channels at the moment. The one is online in the system. Octopus can be operated and monitored through a cell phone, a tablet, or a PC. So we have the online notification, then we have the regular things like an email notification. Then for the APAC region, we are using a protocol called Line. It's similar to WhatsApp in Europe or in America. So you can set these kind of communication channels up on your own within the Octopus platform. 2 months ago, we implemented also an SMS text information, because in Hong Kong, they are not using Line, but they are using more on the cell phones SMS text notifications. We implemented a worldwide available service called Twilio, which is addressable from our system as well, so that you can just give in the telephone numbers where the message is to be sent. And then we have implemented webhooks, which allows you basically, if a measurement comes in and you trigger a rule, that you can send it basically to any third-party application, which allows you to address a webhook. How the notification generally works, so each measurement which comes in from a sensor within Octopus, we have a rules engine where you can set up a rule for each measurement if you want to. So if you say, okay, for example, a pressure on a pipe is going above a specific pressure moment, or RPM for running a motor is going above a specific a number of RPM. Or if you can also set up a rule, for example, if you say, okay, if I don't get an information from this sensor for the last 60 seconds, then notify me. And then it depends on the notification, what you set up, that you want to inform the facility manager in a building, or the general manager of a factory, or the floor manager on who's responsible for specific machines. So you can basically put it on every single sensor which you get in. So for example, a small sample, what we did during COVID, we serviced some hospitals here in Bangkok. They were using Octopus and regular temperature sensors to make sure that their vaccine storages were always on a level between 2 to 7 degrees. Because you can imagine that they have, like, if you have 1 million vaccine shots in your storage, and each shot is worth around $30 US, then you can imagine that the goods are worth already 30 million. And if at that heat points, what we have here, if there's something going south or north better, then really somebody needs to react. It can be an open door, it can be an aircon failure, but you have to react basically immediately to figure that out and fix that. So.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, it seems like we are out of questions. I don't know, guys, how much. Somebody. Oh no, there is somebody. Another question, please. We can. I cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Please put the mic on.
Okay, so I written it down in the chat. I was curious about Octopus. Is available only on the Asian market, or it's all worldwide?
No, it's so we are operating it on AWS, on Amazon Web Services. So for APAC, we have our node located in Singapore, and we are serving here the APAC area, or more the Southeast Asia area, through Singapore. We operated a node in Frankfurt since, I think, November or December last year. And we just 2 weeks ago, we set up a new node for North Virginia in the US. And within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be setting up another node for the Abu Dhabi for the United Arab Emirates region.
And another question which I have is not very much how Octopus clients hear about Octopus.
Sorry, say again, how?
How Octopus clients hear about Octopus.
Yeah. Well, it's here for the Southeast Asian region in Bangkok. We have a lot of chambers where we are members, where we go to the chambers to level networking events. We have like the American Chamber, the British Chamber, the Netherlands Thai Chamber. We do a lot of also, we have our own YouTube channel where we are pushing permanently new information about Octopus. But it's a lot through networking in Bangkok itself. I mean, it's a huge city with around 15 million people. What else we are doing is through LinkedIn, we are gathering information and we are targeting specific sectors, like on the one hand, machine manufacturers. So we have two bigger industrial customers who use Octopus as a global asset monitoring tool. They produce machines and sell them to 1,000 or 1,500 customers in the APAC region. So this is how we are looking at multiplying factors, but we are also looking into vendors and IoT providers, service providers, contacting them proactively and trying to push Octopus that way into the market, basically.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I think there are no more questions. And at this moment, I would like to say that it's amazing, all these new technologies. I think the future is already here. And what I would like to say is thank you and thank everyone for participation. Please follow our social media and for the new announcements where we will share the recent IoT advancements with you. See you soon. And yeah, see you soon and see you around. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Cheers. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.